live though, because
I don't see it. It's at least I don't see the stream.
You don't see the stream?
It takes a little bit.
Well, I'm on the stream, but I don't see any images.
Now we're live.
I'm listening to me on air.
Yep.
Through
Now there we go.
Okay, so now it's working.
Yay.
Yay! Okay, good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining. We've got a new format today. We're testing something new. As you can see in the top right-hand corner, it's powered by StreamYard. I'm using the free version, so no, I'm not an affiliate. I'm just telling you what the hell's on my screen, okay? I have no idea what I'm doing. And this is a recommendation from LiteratureDevil. He does this every morning. Sorry? What?
This stream, sponsored by StreamYard.
Yeah, well, I wish.
And
No.
Rage, Shadow Legends. You can actually put a commercial in here. You can actually, if you go to the button that says brand, I think, or
oh god,
there's an overlay. And overlays, you can put in a clip and you can play a commercial.
You could do all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm not doing that because I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe I will in the future. Who knows?
I feel like I should be paid to cover HelloGreedo.
I think we all should. HelloGreedo is like, it's a painful thing, and then you realize how ridiculous it is. You sit back and laugh.
Payers and subs.
I need the subs.
Payers and subscribers.
Oh yeah,
that's the only way we're gonna get through this.
Just put on the classic fast-paced jazz music and can we hit 10,000 likes, guys? Thank you.
Oh god, yeah. Let's do all that corny crap that everyone else does to make people dance and throw money at me. Yeah, that's
sure
great.
you like
if you like the stream, if you want to see more of the stream, if you want to see more of us do this more stream, then hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. And if we get this video up to 1,000 likes, we'll be covering another HelloGreedo next time or something.
No, we're not covering another HelloGreedo. No, we're not doing this.
Well, only if we get 1,000 likes. If we don't get 1,000 likes, then we will be covering another HelloGreedo.
I just want to let you guys know that I have a Patreon.
Yeah, the Patreon and Raid Shadow Legends.
Don't you love it when your favorite creator just starts guys, you want to see more? I know I just started the video 50 seconds ago. I'm going to tell you I have a Patreon. Want to give me some money? That'd be great. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Well, if they want to give me money, that'd be great.
It was sponsored by Raid Shave Club for $1.
Raid Shave VPN.
Create your own brand of clothing and advertise it at the start of your videos.
Anywho.
Nord Raid Dollar Club.
Welcome to the stream, guys. We're using a new format, and in regards to that, we're having a new person online. His name is Voice of the Radio. Say hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Thank you.
I
all right.
My name is not what it says it is. Shit.
That's okay. We all think of you in spirit as the voice in the radio, so
very well. Very well.
That's good enough for me. Anywho, so we're going to be talking about a video from HelloGreedo that just came out, I think, a few days ago. If you don't know HelloGreedo's channel, well, he kind of looks like Shiny, but just think crazier.
Oh, look, I do not associate. He's a stormtrooper. I'm a clone. I would never wear that stupid armor.
He's in a superior clone version. He has a tainted blood.
He has a lot of
clones can shoot.
How do we describe his channel? It's a lot of Star Wars content, obviously, but it's a lot of off the cuff, kind of from the gut sort of reaction to everything.
It's terrible.
He's made a lot of videos, and originally he used to. Yeah, I guess someone playing right. Yes, at least I will debate art. He famously said he can never think of a bigger waste of time than debating art.
What are we here
How
to
is
do
it a waste of time?
Today? Are we debating art today?
Not so much. There really isn't much in this video for us to have a philosophy of aesthetic. It's kind of just him going on about how great emotion and lore is useless and all this other stuff. For people who read books, this is like, are you out of your damn mind, sir?
What happened? The Last Jedi really messed some people up. Now they're so desperate to defend it. They're just doing away with essential parts of the human psyche.
Yeah, because the thing is, I used to follow HelloGreedo, and originally because of he made some they weren't fantastic, but they were all right Star Wars videos. And from what I understand, at the beginning, he used to really rail against the prequels. He hated them. But when it comes to the sequel trilogy, he's all of a sudden vehemently defending them.
Guys, we have to get started. EFAP has already beaten us to it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh.
They,
See who wins. It'll be a race.
smashed through a movie Bob video and now they're already here.
All right, it's 7 minutes long, guys. Let's get started. Okay.
Why this video brought to you by Dollar Raid Club?
Okay, that's a good one.
Yay.
You can't.
This isn't a good look.
You're not allowed to do that.
These arguments are amazing. They're just
10 out of 10 arguments. You see, look, I wish I could make arguments as good as HelloGreedo over here.
I think he
just a
the helmet.
terrible,
Or tear to
unfunny
shame.
skit.
I'm kind of scared he might hit someone.
You sort of flip this around. It's apparently the people who want to create limitations to their stories that are the crazy people, and not the ones that want their characters to do whatever they want.
No, I haven't seen this video yet, but I'm pretty sure if he might be going into
Apparently, they can't hear the people in the stream can't hear the audio.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So
So we can hear the audio.
You can hear the
Well,
audio.
because we're watching the thing, but they can't.
Okay, let me
Oh,
try.
okay, everyone join the watch together.
Someone says it's just
Everyone
really low.
join the
So
watch.
see if you can increase the volume.
I'm trying to find that out. I don't see how.
Wait, how is there 5 people on the watch together, but there's only 4 people in the stream?
One of them's HelloGreedo.
Oh no, he cracked the code.
You're not allowed to do that.
Do we need to just repeat everything he says for the stream?
It's possible. Oh, volume's up. Everything's looking good.
Well, 1 second. Let me try something here. Let me see.
So I'll go into the stream and see if I can hear it.
Here, try this. Okay. There you go. Spudboy, there should be
The stream can't hear him.
add my
No.
I shared my screen, so see if you can add mine. All you gotta do is like add it to the stream like you did with someone. It should be out down there. You can add it into the stream.
What we might end up having to do is just jump over to Discord because that's the proven method.
With all our boxed, safe space little
But we
icons.
won't check it out.
Why? In boxes. Why?
I shared my screen with you, and you can if you can just put it in there. It's like,
I'm listening to it. It's just the
Oh, there
volume
it is.
is really, really low.
There we go.
it's mine, right? Okay.
Okay.
So
Now, can you hear volume?
You're not a
I can hear it.
Well, now it's going off of mine. So now mine is frozen now.
Yours is frozen.
allowed to do
Oh, it's just pausing. That's right.
that.
Look, let's go from the beginning. Let's see if the folks from home can hear it.
Welcome to the sandbox of Star Wars.
Oh, no,
creation.
no,
You
I
can
can
make
hear it
anything
twice.
you
No,
want.
no,
Your
no,
only
God, stop.
limitation is your.
Stop. Oh, I can hear it twice.
Well, it works for them. Why does it work for me? I got to figure this out. Sorry about that, guys. Jeez.
I need to mute. Can I mute the stream somehow? Because.
Apparently, you can hear it.
All right, let's try again.
They can hear it, but I can hear it
Welcome
twice.
to the sandbox
No,
of Star Wars creation. You can make anything you want. Your
Oh, it's
only
'cause
limitation
take
is
the
your
watch.
imagination. Except you can't do that
We
though.
don't need
hey,
to-
you can't do that. No, but there's,
Yeah, we don't need
there's
to be
a
in the
law.
watch together.
You're not allowed to do that. You're not. No. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to
Yeah,
do that.
I just
You're
closed
not
watch
allowed to
together and
do
I watched
that.
it on the
Mute one of
Yeah.
them, I guess. Mute watch together. If
You
you
have to
can.
mute one
yeah.
and just go. Well, we have to mute watch together and kind of just view it on Streamlabs.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
what it's called.
That works.
All right, that'll have to work. We'll just be slightly behind whoever's streaming. I don't know if it's lit or Smud
It's a
at this
work in
point.
progress.
It definitely is. But yeah, as we were trying to say before, like, this is 10 out of 10 argumentation. Obviously, he rolled a 20. This doesn't sound cringy, and it totally doesn't feel like any kind of straw man.
I haven't seen this video yet, but I think is he going to go into the fact that the lore is restrictive to your art?
Mhm.
You adhere to lore. That's really restricted
This is
to what you can
HelloGreedo.
do with an art.
He doesn't like debating art. So what? So what is he going to say?
As you care about it.
Okay, so as we were just saying before the stream, yes, you are limited by what came before, and that's because you have rules and you have laws that you're supposed to follow, so you have a coherent story.
Yeah.
If anything could
check your
happen.
privilege. Okay, you don't get to just make everything up. Fiction has rules. Okay, you can't just make everything up, even if it's a sequel or something. You still have to follow the established rules. And you don't want to follow rules, make your own thing and start from the ground level.
I mean,
Okay,
how do
so
they
HelloGreedo.
How do they think story ideas work? So when you sit down, when George Lucas first sat down to create Star Wars, he wanted sci-fi space adventure with magical powers for people to use, and that there was a David versus Goliath sort of situation going on.
People want us to join EFAP.
There's
They want us to go.
it's too many people, honestly, guys. There's way too many people.
You have your selection.
I don't think like they'd be up for that. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to be on EFAP, but
you have a super chat, by the way.
Oh, I do. Yes, there it
You wanna
is.
click on
Boom.
it? Yeah, click on it. It pops up on the screen.
Thank you, WD Frost. That's nice of you. It was better without sound.
You're not wrong. It's even worse
You
when
all
you're hearing
wanted
it.
that. It's all your fault.
I blame LiteratureDevil. It was totally fine the way it was before. Let's keep going.
Oh yeah, only one of
You're
us can
not allowed
pause
to do
now.
that. When does canon, when does a strict adherence to details pump the brakes on creative freedom? Because
Suddenly it's
Never.
details. Suddenly it's details. Okay, it's creativity is not through freedom. Creativity occurs best when you have restrictions. Otherwise, you don't actually have to be creative.
I'll say it's something called forced creativity. So I can't remember what game it was specifically, but there was an older game which was a horror game, and the reason why they had so much like smoke around the camera was because of the extremely limited render distance. So that ended up being a solution to a problem which actually improved the game. However, when it comes to limitations like a story limitation isn't the same as that. It's not the same kind of forced creativity, and voice just left. Okay.
There you
Now
go.
he's back.
Thank you. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's not the same as forced creativity by any means, but it is. Silent Hill. But who wants a story that isn't consistent? Okay, so let's say Greedo dies in episode 4, and we see him die. He gets fucking killed. So he's all of a sudden he comes back. That wouldn't make any sense. He dies, but apparently a character dying and not being able to come back is stopping creativity.
Yeah, but it's the dark side of the Force. It's a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural.
There's a kind of a phenomenon, especially with thriller writers, where they kind of write themselves into a corner because a lot of them are just discovery writers, which means they start off with an idea, they don't plan things out, and they just write and write and write as the things come along, and then add new obstacles as it goes. And sometimes it happens when they write themselves into a corner, but however, there is they tend to really, really, really enjoy trying to think a logical way out of it. So it helps spark your creativity. It helps it comes to
Unless you're
catalyst.
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, apparently. Unless you're Ryan Johnson.
This is so benign to me. Like, we're really at this point. We're really at this point where logical consistency within a franchise.
Canon is
bad.
a social construct, man.
But here's
It's bad to have consistency.
What if the first movie of the Star Wars trilogy was A New Hope, and then the second one was the Two Towers from Lord of the Rings? That's exactly what he's arguing for. It should be fine.
I mean, our world is definitely one where, well, we live in a world that is logical. So if you do X, you should expect Y because there are consequences. So the reason why most in a story is because we're used to having stories that have relevant cause and effect. If anything can happen, then that just and I mean, I know it's down to the person, but if anything can happen, that can slap your immersion like to nothing. And then you're just watching the colors fly by. You're not immersed in what is actually happening.
What if the first Godfather, Michael Corleone, took over the family, and it's all realistic? He wiped out the family accounts. He destroyed the other 5 families, and then in Godfather 2, it's he has a shootout with some orcs or some aliens or something. Yeah, your creativity wasn't stifled, but now it doesn't make any sense, and I don't care anymore.
This is like I'm thinking of a baby when they don't understand objects. Like you show a baby an object like a big ball, and then you hide it. And like psychologists will say, well, as far as the ball is concerned or the baby's concerned, the ball doesn't exist anymore. So if they see another cool object like dangling keys, they go, wow. Then you hide the keys, it goes away. And you just keep showing them objects, and they just keep getting excited. That's the argument I'm getting from this guy. As if, hey, does it make you feel something? Who cares what the heck you're looking at? As long as it's fun and cool and exciting.
I think EFAP has became aware that we're covering the same video as them as well.
Oh, really?
Oh no,
we're going to do it faster though.
Yes, that's it. They may have started first, but we will win the race.
Here we go.
Maybe.
Go.
It is a give and take, right? You want your creators to have as much freedom as they possibly can, and you don't want stories to get bogged down and held back by details that often come from non-film material. I'm bringing this up because I recently saw an article from IO9 making its rounds on the internet. It's titled, "Our Fascination with Canon is Killing the Way We Value Stories," and there's some truth in that, right?
That was a terrible article.
No, there isn't any truth in that. We want a logic. Okay, as a Star Wars fan, personally, we want a universe that makes sense. It's all connected. It all fits in with the same universe. If any story, if any media in Star Wars just did anything it wanted, then that would be absolutely terrible. It wouldn't feel like everything's in the same universe anymore. If Vader died in, say Anakin died in the prequels, and then all of a sudden he's Anakin in the original trilogy, then that would be a huge disconnect. Or, if Vader died in a canon comic and then, but then all of a sudden he's in the films as well. Yeah, they're different media and they're killing Vader because it works well for the story, but it doesn't work well for the universe, ultimately.
This is probably worse than talking about episodic storytelling, where every episode of a series, let's say Star Trek, is like a different scenario, a different problem. And there's really no plot. It's just a bunch of people going about their day. But even that has consistency of, people going about their business, being in charge of this or that, getting promoted, wearing a new dress or whatever. Like there's a progression of time. You go, oh yeah, things are happening in a logical sense. This says, forget time, forget your narrative, forget all that stuff. Is it cool? Does it look good? Does it sound cool? Like that's what he's getting at, I think.
How much do we want to bet he's going to bring up one of a specific example from Star Wars, and this video is created to defend that specifically, like the Emperor being back, for example, or the Holdo maneuver?
I would love to have an argument about the Emperor being back being a good thing. So my money's on that, just because I have faith in humanity.
I would honestly fight to the death of it being a terrible thing. It's one of the worst decisions they could have made.
Oh, I think it's terrible. Yeah.
But okay, so the Grand Inquisitor here in the front of the article where it's just saying drivel, that is exactly how I view the new Star Wars.
I love this guy.
Never cross the streams.
Never cross the streams.
That's why we're not going on there, because we don't cross the streams.
I like this feature where you can just highlight the comments. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Aura Master. I love that. Very funny.
Yeah, that's a great feature.
Like a Criminal Imagination says, is an EFAP race, a race for the longest.
Oh, that is true. But we win.
Last wins.
Well,
But the thing is, we get more fat per hour.
What did Glib say yesterday? Was every frame a tangent or something like that?
Every frame of time.
Because
EFAP.
we end up talking about things which are just infinitely more interesting than the video we're actually covering. Again, we ended up having conversations about visual effects, which were just so much more insightful and had so much
Yeah,
more content than the
I
video we were
was-
actually watching.
I was getting a bit pensive the fourth time that happened. I was like, guys, come on.
So what HelloGreedo is basically saying is it doesn't matter if it isn't logical, so long as whatever the result is awesome by the audience's perception. Right?
No, I think what he's saying is you should be able to do anything with a story. There's no limits on no boundaries they can't go.
Right, which is insane.
If you want a true crime detective novel, then your first chapter can be the true crime detective novel, and you should be able to do your second chapter as a high fantasy detective versus Cthulhu-esque sort of novel story. It should be, you can jump from one thing to the next, and it shouldn't be a problem, according to HelloGreedo.
Oh my god, what if he says, like, yes, we know the Emperor was dead, but he returned in episode 9, and that was cool, so it's forgiven. Oh my
I
god.
would be surprised, actually.
Okay, so I'm gonna use an example. So if a writer can do absolutely fucking anything with a story, what if they ended up using like a whole episode? So I don't want to have any spoilers because I know some people haven't seen it yet, but there are episodes of a certain new season of a certain Star Wars franchise that one of the episodes basically starts off exactly where it begins, and the entire episode is a waste of time. Is that bad? Should writers be allowed to do that, or is
By
that
waste of time,
writers
what do you
do?
mean?
They literally, the entire episode is completely fucking useless. They end up right back at the beginning, and it's not entertaining. The whole episode, again, you can just skip the whole episode.
Oh, are you talking about they started off in a box and then they did an adventure and ended up back in that same box?
Yeah, but the adventure was completely fucking useless.
Yes.
Do you know what series I'm on about?
I do know what series you're on about, yes.
Have you seen the episode?
I have seen the episode,
Okay.
yes.
So, the annoying characters, who I shall not name, we end up spending the whole episode with them running about, and nothing comes of the entire episode.
Doesn't one character discover that another character is alive on a planet somewhere, and that's where she's going to go next? Isn't that like that's the
That's
only?
in the latest episode, and I was talking about the episode before that.
Oh, okay. Might be getting them mixed up. No, I know what you're talking about. Yes, it
Because
did.
the thing is,
kind
the
of
same
like
thing happens in the exact same next episode, but at least it actually ends up going somewhere. So
more
what's the point in the episode before it?
It would be more forgivable if there were more episodes in the season, but we're against the clock at this
Yes.
point with the show. But the things need wrapping up, so it did feel like a waste.
I'm still just trying to comprehend that we have come so low that we are now sitting here arguing the fact that logic is necessary in a story.
I literally said that. This is the point.
What is
we're at.
going on? What kind of insane timeline, Twilight Zone stuff have we entered, where people are seriously and unironically trying to argue that canon and logic are not important in a logical story that is essentially cause and effect?
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the Credo Zone.
We can give multiple examples of science fiction authors actually consulting with scientists and technicians on how to make their lore or their science or technology in their story more believable. And imagine saying, okay, this short story, like I can think of Along the Scenic Route by Harlan Ellison. He did that. He got consultants from universities. And that was a great little story. It's like Death Race 2000, essentially. And he wrote that great story. And imagine me picking that up and saying, you know what, I'm going to invent my own technology, which is completely alien. And it's going to have like bug people technology. It's going to have gears and blood and guts and all this cool stuff. It would have nothing to do with his setting. It would not make any sense. You'd be like, this is not the same universe. Why are you telling me the story? Why didn't you use the lore you were given? So people take a lot of effort when they come into Star Trek or Star Wars to be writers. They say, okay, what is warp field? What is that? and they have to research that. And if they want to tell a new story about new technology, they have to then spend a heck of a lot of time telling
you see,
that to the audience.
That's limiting creativity, obviously. That's limiting. Why are you oppressing these writers? Shouldn't a writer be able to go onto Star Trek and just make them do swears every 5 fucking seconds?
Yep.
Shouldn't they be able to just have random things that shouldn't happen in there?
What's kind of sad is that Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass have more consistency with one another than what Greedo is trying to talk about and what Ryan Johnson did.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. Also, PSA Stitch is on the other stream, and I'm on this one, so we're obviously the same person. And it's just really difficult being on EFAP and here at the same time.
We haven't the same room.
He multitasks. That's why his computer blows up every.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm
at least 2 people.
That's why he's muting himself. He's muting himself and then going to the other
So you
stream.
can go chat with them, yeah.
Yes. He's double timing us.
You two-timing bitch.
You found me out.
I'm totally okay with this. Anyway, let's go.
I've never been a hyper details oriented Star Wars viewer. Obviously, canon is important. Obviously, the history of our characters, the continuity.
Of prequels, then, Greedo.
So he likes some history, but only some, not all of it.
Yeah, it's only important if he likes it. If he doesn't like it, it's unimportant.
Yeah, he says canon is important, but how much of that will he forget in order to support his sacred cow, which is the Last Jedi, I presume?
Yeah.
Canon is important and essential and critical if you're making a series.
When I want it to
any
be.
kind.
Yeah, only when he wants it to be. Everything else, nope.
Only if you want it to be. You can pick and choose what you want. Maybe if it's Doctor Who, I guess. But you can't, even a logical timeline for a series from beginning to end, you can't just pick and choose stuff.
Of our stories, it makes the universe feel like a cohesive thing. But strictly adhering to canon and nothing else and hamstringing yourself creatively based on...
Okay, who does that?
And nothing else.
Who does this? Which writer does this? I'm going to give no new ideas. Nothing. I'm totally brain dead.
What does he mean by sticking to canon and nothing else? What does that mean exactly?
I think he's specifically referring to the audience having problems with certain breaks in canon when it comes to the new films.
I want an example.
Okay, so I think what he's referring to is, say, a critic sits down, watches The Last Jedi, and says, hey, the hyperspace maneuver, that's retarded. That doesn't make sense with the rest of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, and they just did it. They didn't explain it or anything like that. But is that his complaint, that we just want canon and nothing else? That's not exactly true. We want canon, but if you want to change the canon, that's fine and acceptable if you give us a reasonable explanation as to why the previously established rules have now been broken.
They could make up a stupid answer. So let's say, theoretically, something off the top of my head, the reason why the hyperspace maneuver worked was because the hyperspace tracking technology meant the Superstar Destroyer was in hyperspace while also being in real space. So when they collided in hyperspace, that's what caused the massive damage.
Well, here's the thing: there's nothing. To be fair, there is nothing in Star Wars that says that move cannot be done. So it's technically not contradicting anything, but that's not the problem with the maneuver. It's the fact that
no one's done it.
Effective. You're like, why have we not heard of this before if this is such a big deal? Why was this not a solution to several other instances throughout Star Wars when it could have been?
Okay, so something
at what point does it say you cannot hyperspace collide into another ship? In fact, there's evidence to support that, because Han Solo says it to Luke. It's like, if you don't put it in correctly, we could plow straight into a sun and die. So there is evidence to support that you do collide with physical objects in hyperspace. You have to be very careful. But the question arises that why would we not have seen that before if this is how it works?
And why is it so effective?
Yes,
because the way I would imagine hyperspace ramming is that you're just going at such an insane speed, your ship becomes like a bullet, and a bullet doesn't create a huge crack that is infinitely bigger than the size. Because if you look at the size of the Radis and the size of the Mega Star Destroyer, like that thing, if that went through it like a bullet, it would basically do nothing. and that was how I always viewed why they never did hyperspace maneuvers in the films, because while you have an X-wing and you try and hyperspace it through a Star Destroyer, it's probably just gonna hit on the shields, or even if it does get through, it's going to make a hole the size of the X-wing, and that's not effective use.
I would agree with
X-wings.
it would, because obviously one thing is far more fragile than the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it would break apart. It's going to break apart more upon impact.
There was a big, I can't remember, was it science? Some science YouTuber did it. And this was years ago, because that's when The Last Jedi came out. And the amount of force, if we're talking about light speed or hyperspace, the thing we saw in the movie was nothing compared to what actually should have happened if we were talking about light speed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it would just annihilate everything. It came anywhere close. So that's fine, because then we can say, all right, so maybe they weren't going at light speed. Maybe they're getting really close to it. So that would be something. Okay, yeah, maybe she didn't achieve light speed fast enough, or there was enough distance for her to accelerate, and it wasn't as high as it could be. But what happens when you say, well, what if you do have the distance to then accelerate to light speed? Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they pursuing that as a weapon? And you have to lampshade that. You have to curb that down somehow.
Why haven't they created small bullet-shaped ships designed specifically to be fired like hyperspace nukes?
Why not just use bullets at light speed? That would be devastating.
Oh, yes.
You don't need a ship to hit someone with a light speed ram. All you need is a little sand grain.
And just instead of having like torpedoes or whatever, or bombs that they just drop up from absurdly large, clunky ships in space, why not just have like a bunch of this full metal, this gigantic, this like asteroid-looking things, or more dynamic, or more this way easier for it to go forward. Just a huge, gigantic metal rams, and just fit it with a hyperdrive, and have a droid hit the button when need be, and then just send it at the enemy. Just sprinkle the enemy with all these things. It would just obliterate the entire fleet. They wouldn't even need to lose anybody. Just make a bunch of these and win.
Yep, it just destroys all the concept of any Star War, any kind of battle in space for the entire galaxy, however long they've had light speed. So everyone knows this. Everyone looks at that and goes, wait a second, no one thought of this? This is now a thing? Like, you could argue, like, oh, computers are designed to prevent this from happening. There's all these safety features. There's all these treaties. Once you do that, you're a war criminal, yada, yada, yada.
I don't think, but that's the thing. I don't think the First Order obliges by the code of conduct when they create planets that blow up other planets.
And that's another problem. Why would they even bother to pursue more Death Stars when they just wait? Everyone has a nuke. Everyone, like anyone who could fly a ship that has light speed is a nuke.
Someone just tells Palpatine one ship took out like 24 Star Destroyers and a Super Star Destroyer, and he's like, "What? How?" So, they fired a ship into our ships. He's like, that's a good idea. Why aren't we doing that?
You can make a bunch of Death Stars and fit them with hyperdrive.
Because the writer says.
Anywho, let's keep going.
Off of some arbitrary rules that crushing. There's canon
arbitrary.
Like Luke Skywalker is Darth Vader's son,
What
right?
makes him think?
Why is it
Kylo Ren,
They're arbitrary if he doesn't like them.
What makes him think that coming up with rules isn't creative?
The rules are there for a reason.
Coming up with a universe with rules is apparently not a creative thing, I guess.
Why do you think people hated? You remember that Superman Red versus Blue, or is it Superman Red, Superman Blue? Remember when everyone hated that? It's because
seen what you talk about.
Well, this was like after he was he died and came back, and like a year later they came out with Red and Blue, and everyone was like, "What the hell are you guys doing with Superman? What is this? Why does he have electrical flash powers? Like, what's going on here? Like, you can't just keep whipping stuff out of your ass, not explain it, all because you want to be creative. You have to work within the world you've been given. You can't just, and if you do invent cool stuff, you have to explain it. That's all we're asking from all these writers. Just make it make sense, guys. It's not hard.
I just love the fact that he seems to think that coming up with rules is just a way to bog down creativity, when coming up with the universe with rules is apparently not creative in itself.
That rules are just arbitrary if he doesn't like them. So
Okay,
You can
Glib says
train.
his computer's working, and maybe just watch out for him in the back room.
Oh, there he
He's
is. Hey, Glib, how's it going?
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Oh, we're having a great time listening to HelloGreedo and trying out this wonderful new.
I'm watching
Why
you
do
fast
these
right
people? Why do these people believe it? Like everything is fucking arbitrary. We were watching fucking
Because you don't
Patricia
like it.
Jackson's video. It's like, oh well, money's arbitrary, weight measurement is arbitrary, time is arbitrary, trees are arbitrary, language is arbitrary.
But Marxism is forever.
I've been here the whole time. It's been subjective that I have been missing from the call. Obviously.
That's arbitrary.
You missing from the call is just your subjective opinion.
This entire video is just arbitrary.
Oh, shit. That's a good
It's
point.
all
actually.
subjective.
I just was listening and I was thinking about the irony of somebody complaining about how canon's importance to the story or whatever is restricting creativity coming from a guy wearing a Star Wars helmet. Like, why not come up with your own helmet? Aren't you creative, HelloGreedo? Why don't you come up with a name that's not Greedo? I don't understand. Does this guy just not have any self-awareness? I just that's what I want to know. Because I've watched a lot of his videos at this point, and it just seems like we're going in circles over and over again. At what point does he realize that he's his worst advocate?
Rules don't matter so long as the scene makes you feel good.
Yeah, but
And as we all know, why
That's-
think when you can feel?
yeah, why be an adult when you can be a baby? I
Yeah.
agree.
That was my analogy of a baby
right.
looking at objects, and how psychologists say once you hide that object from the baby, that object no longer exists.
Yes.
And then you just show them another object, and they're wow.
Evidence.
This is
We have
brand
to keep
new.
we have to keep going. We're ahead of EFAP right now.
Oh, keep going. We're in the lead.
We get more faps per minute.
Han Solo is Han Solo's
about
son
double
and
before.
Princess Leia's son. That's canon. We all love it. We all
Okay.
appreciate it.
Don't
You
love
don't
it.
care about
Nah,
canon?
I wouldn't say love.
Come on. Don't be disingenuous. When canon turns into like laws on what
Canon
you can
is-
and can't
Those
do,
are laws. That's what it's canon. It's story canon. They become laws when it's officially published inside the story.
It is law that Luke Skywalker is Anakin Skywalker's son. That is just how it is. If it turns out that Luke Skywalker in like episode 9, Luke goes, "Nah, Darth Vader wasn't my son. Wasn't my father at all. It was
Mace Windu.
He was my son.
Frodo." It was
But it's
Walker.
like it reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean Pirates Code or whatever. And Barbossa's like, they're more of a guideline. like that's the I just don't get it. It's like, imagine if you were playing poker and you were sitting across the table and you lose a poker hand and you're like, rules aren't rules. I didn't lose. And then everyone's like, sir, hand over your chips. you didn't win that hand.
Rules are arbitrary.
I like how he,
According
I
to his
like-
logic, if we lived in a world according to his logic, like a real world according to his logic, we could go to sleep tonight and wake up yesterday.
Yeah.
'Cause it wouldn't make it wouldn't
Anything
make
from
any sense.
I like
Yeah,
how
it
he
was
says that. I like how he says that you have to adhere to canon. Like you strictly adhere to canon. Like there is no way of creating new things that don't contradict canon. You have to stick to what is written. You can't tweak or add in details. He's talking about it as if that is never possible.
I know EFAP's catching up. We're on the same moment.
Keep going.
in your
Push
movie, in your story, especially when it's visual or based off of some piece of equipment or something that we've never.
It's based off a piece of equipment. What?
He's talking hyperspace tracker.
You mean like if you a piece of equipment like lightsabers can cut through stuff and ignite, and do you have to block them with other lightsabers?
Yeah, that consistency of what is lightsaber proof and what isn't. Oh, that's great. Thanks, HelloGreedo. Yeah, I just
Again,
that would
just
be a really simple example, wouldn't it?
just
It would
needs
be
to-
like
sorry, go on.
sorry, go. It would be a really simple example of because he's talking about you cannot alter canon whatsoever. You write a story, you cannot touch it whatsoever. It's been established in the first film. You must stick to that. Like there is no way to creatively come up with something that doesn't contradict canon. So, for example, lightsabers can cut through XYZ materials. You invent a material that lightsabers cannot cut through. There's like, let's say I come up with a new type of titanium that is resistant to lightsaber strikes. So long as like the last 2 films never said that lightsabers can cut through this material, I haven't contradicted anything. I've created something, I've added it to canon, and nothing has been affected.
It's also what you were saying earlier, or whatever people were saying earlier, which is like there are just some things you shouldn't do to keep the logic of the story going.
Like bring back Palpatine.
But well, there's obviously stuff like that, and then the other thing is that he knows what he's talking about. He knows that the reason why he wears a stormtrooper helmet is because it's from the original Star Wars film. He knows why he calls his channel HelloGreedo. It's because it's recognizable. So he's using all the same elements that everybody else uses to construct a Star Wars persona. He's using the pieces that we know as canon lore. So there's just no way that he can just sit here and justify these statements. He couldn't sit in this chat with us and say this stuff to us without incredible amounts of scrutiny, and there would be no way that he could argue his point with any kind of logic. So it's a good thing he can just make statements generally in his video without having to defend them.
And there are some ways there's some things we can accept, some breaking of canon we can accept. Because I remember the first when you introduce Watson and Sherlock Holmes, it's his wounded body part is his shoulder, and then over the course of stories, it moves over to his leg. And it doesn't really matter because he still has the wound. The wound is still important, still there. It's just moved to a different body part. But it doesn't really affect much. It doesn't affect like the crime or how they solve crimes or how things are affected in the world. It's just a different location for his wound. When we're talking about how you shouldn't break canon, it's more like what's majorly established. What's a huge thing that's been established, and one of those things being, you need training in the Force to get better in the Force, and they didn't do that. Rey's just awesome. As soon as she learns about the Force, she can just do everything like at a masterful level, and now that's one of the things we mean when we say you need to stick to canon. Because it affects things. It affects one of the heart and soul of Star Wars, one of the elements that are at the heart and soul of Star Wars.
Here's a question, because I know HelloGreedo started his channel bashing on the prequels, essentially. But now he's saying that it doesn't matter so long as you have creativity. It's fine to let canon slide. So I wonder how he feels about midichlorians.
How come there's always these excuses? As long as it's different, it's good. If it's subverts your expectations, it's good. As long as it's creative, it's good.
Here's a super chat from WD Frost. Thank you, sir. These people would make horrible game masters. I don't even know if they would even have the patience to play a D&D tabletop game. I think what are all these dice? I roll a 20 all the time. It's my number. It's my favorite number. It's awesome.
I know last session we're playing D&D, but this session we're playing Call of Cthulhu. Same characters and everything.
Fighting a fire demon. It's okay, I'll use my fire sword. Well, that's not going to do anything. Why are you restricting me with these laws? These arbitrary...
oppressing me. Stop oppressing me, okay?
These restrictions could make a better story, because there's nothing specifically within The Last Jedi that you couldn't rewrite into something else. And well, I don't think maybe it's too far to make it a good film, but you could at least make it a whole lot better than the pile of crap that it is currently. For example, instead of having this really stupid hyperspace tracking, you could use an existing technology, like an actual physical tracker, which was used in the prequels, and you could say, Holdo, or if you don't want Holdo to be some kind of traitor, then that would, even though that would make a lot more fucking sense, you could have someone on the crew be a traitor, and that could even be a reason why Holdo doesn't tell Poe, because she believes there's a traitor on board and she thinks it's him and he thinks it's her, and you can have at least something there, and you've got a more interesting plot line than Canto Bites. So that fixes multiple problems.
There's like different levels.
Ultimate Delicious Pie says Rey did all the side quests on Jakku, which is why she was over leveled later on. That explains it. There you go.
There's like different things as well in terms of canon when it comes to stories. So there's the canon in the sense that the Force allows you to lift rocks. There's the canon in the sense that Kylo Ren or Ben Solo is the son of Han Solo. But then you've got the smaller detail stuff, like it is canon that a Star Destroyer contains this many troops. It contains 30,000 soldiers. That's canon. So it depends what you're changing as well. Because if you said, oh, this Star Destroyer has 50,000 troops, it's like, well, that's not adhering to canon. It's like, who cares? That's a very small detail. Unless it's a story that, it depends on that number being that number, at which point it would be a more significant change just for the story to happen. But it's context at the end of the day.
It'd be easy to fix. If we wanted to have a ship that held more, you say, well, we have a new model ship that holds more people.
Yeah, it has larger troop barracks. They sacrifice some of the hangar bay to make room for more people. Yeah. Oh, okay. You can't create that same easy workaround for Princess Leia is no longer the son of Padme and Anakin. You haven't got that same workaround.
It's just interesting they focus on the basics like technology and fantasy, and they say, oh, you can do whatever you want. Now there's some leeway with fantasy, meaning the Force. There is some. You can it's malleable, it's stretchable, I get it. But there's some part of that isn't. So training, we know. You can't just do stuff out of thin air. And that's what we get. So if he's trying to argue for a Mary Sue without saying it's a Mary Sue, he's not doing a very good job. He's just saying laws are bad, you're restricting creativity, and he's not saying why or how. He's just saying it's bad.
Never seen in the franchise before. When it turns into strict adherence to laws, well then shit, I think some people have lost the heartbeat of Star Wars.
Okay, what's the heartbeat of Star Wars? Does anyone have any idea what he's talking about?
No.
Character.
I know the heart of Star Wars.
Don't even bother answering that because it's not a real statement. It's just something that you say.
What's the true spirit of Star Wars?
It's supposed to be breaking rules, breaking laws. I guess.
No, it's the friends that we met along the way,
and how we're going to win by protecting those we love and not fighting those we hate. Okay.
Isn't the heart of Star Wars whatever you as a viewer sort of took away from it on your own personal level? So for me, it was the characters. For someone else, it was the world building. For someone else, it was the technology.
But narratively speaking, the heart of Star Wars is essentially the hero's journey.
It's a very complicated subject to try and tackle of what is in essence Star Wars, and this is something you can probably talk about for a long time because there are lots of elements that do or do not make a good Star Wars film specifically. Like I would say there's lots of things in Star Trek Picard that just don't belong there.
Yeah.
It's just not Star Trek. Like things like horrific gore of a somewhat beloved character to some people. And then there's other things like I think that's on my head. Just random swearing. Things like the way people all of a sudden talk like they're in modern day rather than like you have hell yeah. It's like, when did anyone in Star Trek say like that? Or when someone in Star Trek says some brown sticky shit.
Stop putting contemporary speech in these sci-fi franchises. They doesn't belong there. I shouldn't have Picard saying things like someone who would be speaking in 2019 or 20.
Yeah, Picard doesn't feel like Picard. He just feels like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, he feels exactly like Patrick Stewart, not really Picard. And we don't need Luke Skywalker going around talking about Fortnite or something. That's ridiculous.
Isn't that where the reveal of Palpatine was first on Fortnite?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fortnite.
Bravo, Disney.
We could probably end up watching that. Not that I want to.
No.
It's nothing major. It's like 4 lines of dialogue at the end of one of the missions, and it's just what the broadcast was that Palpatine let out.
Why?
It's something like the work of my generations is now completed. The day of revenge has came for the Sith, or something like that.
What? What is
the
this?
great error is corrected. It's something like, I've had to look it up because of the work on my own series, but it's something along those lines. It's just 4 sentences of what the broadcast actually says in episode 9.
That's stupid.
It serves no explanation for where he's been or what he's been up to or how he survived. So if you're wanting to get on a pay to win game for those answers, you're not going to get it.
Well, I always love the generic revenge plot by all the Sith. Oh, we will get. Now is the day of reckoning. Now we shall kill the. It's like, who are you?
I love the idea that the Emperor says, "I will get my revenge," but he already created Snoke, who created the First Order, which is therefore his by extension, and the First Order already rule the galaxy. So what's there to
And
get
they've
revenge?
destroyed the New Republic.
Yes,
Luke's
my
dead.
revenge. Luke gave up on the.
I want more revenge. There must be more.
I'll blow up planets for some fucking reason.
But sir, you see, we've got this space cloud, and it won't let us through. Ah, shit.
Blow it up.
Blow up the cloud.
I have my ship.
They
My
could have said that.
blow up infinite planets.
They could have said that they were going to use the fleet to blow through the cloud, like just to make a massive hole in it, and that would make more sense about how the hell they were planning on getting infinite ships.
That would make sense. Anything that makes sense does not belong in a Disney Star Wars. And it shouldn't
What,
belong.
you-
Anything that makes sense is a present to the writers.
Can we just
Using logic
appreciate?
in that film.
Can we appreciate that when the Emperor dies in Episode 9, the storms around the planet disperse? And the storms around the planet was the only reason why the ships couldn't leave the atmosphere.
His evil was so thick.
It was his evil that prevented his own forces from leaving the planet.
Evil arse.
They had to create technology to help him out there.
But the thing is, when Palpatine dies, like, I didn't notice it the first time, but I remember when we were watching it with the Smudcast on movie night, there was like this really, like, where does that shockwave come from that destroys everything? Like, the lightning just goes back into Palpatine, and all of a sudden Palpatine just explodes with this shockwave out of nowhere, and it destroys everything, all the Sith followers, everything.
Yeah, and then, like I said, then the weather turns nice because the evil is gone and the storms have stopped. And the storms were what were keeping all the Star Destroyers on the planet. So,
Was that why Palpatine wanted Rey to kill him? Not just to pass into her, but to
no,
create the clouds.
JJ didn't think that far ahead.
What was the point in setting that up? What was the point in saying, "Oh, if you kill me, then I'll pass it to you"? In fact, he could have said nothing. He could have said nothing, and she would have killed him. And then,
Rey killed him anyway, and that didn't happen.
So, what was the point in setting up?
Why reveal your hand at that point? Yeah, it's kind of bad strategy there, Palpy.
The Emperor's
One,
not
he
sure
reveals
where
his
it moves.
hand. Two, he doesn't do the thing anyway.
Damn it! Force lightning in my skull ruins my plan.
Maybe I should stop doing that. Maybe I should
You
stop.
see, Palpatine is the ground type, and electricity against ground is super effective.
But it was his electricity.
That's not true. Oh wait, no, that has to be true because we don't want to adhere to canon.
Why are we jumping 6 minutes, guys? What's
I was
going on?
waiting for someone to catch me up on that.
Let's go back a bit. There we go.
No, we have to win.
Okay, let's keep going.
Wikipedia says that when ships go into hyperspace, they're going into an alternate dimension. So a complaint that I've heard is that Holdo's ship would have ceased to exist in this dimension, and rather it would take a hyperspace lane in another dimension where contact with this dimension was impossible. And this is exactly the type of shit that I'm talking about. Sorry, if that's what you're focusing on in this scene, again, losing the heartbeat of Star Wars.
Did we jump forward at all there?
I think we did.
Can we go back a little bit? Because he was talking about hyperspace. I was like, where did that come from?
The laws of the Star Wars universe. Hey. But how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel? It broke the laws of the Star Wars universe. Jesus Christ, I have zero desire to view any of the franchises that I love through some encyclopedic kaleidoscope of do and do nots. And
It doesn't matter if the writing makes no sense. It only matters if it makes you feel.
But how did this moment make you feel? Like, for me personally, when I saw this moment, I was thinking, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, I was thinking, what the hell is this? This is retarded.
Because here's, at the end of the day, how it makes you feel is going to be different from the person. I'm sure many people looked at it and they went, wow, that's incredible. In fact, a friend of mine was one of them. But there's just as many people who will also say, okay, this is complete bollocks. So even if everyone thought that, as long as the writing did make sense, it's not. I don't want to say it's not as big a deal, but at least the writing is sound. Even if everyone went, this is ridiculous.
It's also shallow, because if someone likes this purely for its spectacle and not for the quality of writing, then that's just shallow enjoyment.
Was that, like I said, the story doesn't have to make sense so long as it makes you feel good, which is the same methodology we use when teaching children about the Tooth Fairy.
This is a movie for babies.
I guess that makes Transformers movies fucking Picasso.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a movie for space wizards meant for babies or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it was so cool, guys. Like, it was so cool. Who cares? It didn't make sense. It was cool.
This is equivalent of Rian Johnson playing in a sandbox with his toys and ramming a ship into another ship and going, wow, I could do this on the big screen now.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I read a piece about Ryan and Star Wars, and he said that when he got a Millennium Falcon toy when he was a kid, the first thing he tried to do was throw it across the room to see if it would break. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because that's pretty much what he did with Star Wars. So it's like pathological, maybe? I don't know. I haven't been able to find that again, so maybe I just hallucinated it.
Is he like one of those kids who gets a pet? It's like, I'm going to drop my cat from the second story. See if it stands up.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was like that. He's like, hey, hey, little Jimmy, go take this fork and stick it in that hole over there. And little Jimmy gets shocked to death.
So Rian Johnson is a psychopath. Those are what psychopaths do when they're kids.
He's a psychopath.
Psychopath. But it reminds me of a Key and Peele skit where they go. It's like the writing room for Gremlins 2, and I think it's one of them is sitting there and say, "Okay, guys, how are we going to make a meaningful sequel that really adheres to what happened before?" And they go around and he's like, "Okay, ideas, anyone?" And then this guy, I think the other one comes in. And I forget which one it was, but one of the other of the duo comes in, and he's like, "Okay, hello everyone. I'm here to help you create the sequel for Gremlins." And he comes in and he's like, "Forget all this canon stuff. What we're going to do? Each and every one of you gets to design their own unique gremlin." And they all go around. It's like, "How about a gremlin that has like buck teeth and loves to say catchphrases?" Like, yes, we have it right down. Let's write it down. And it's basically this disregarding what happened in the first one and like disrespecting the first one, but it's cooler and they can sell more toys that way. I'm getting that feeling. This is what when if HelloGreedo saw that, like, well, this is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
How does it make you feel?
Laws are we talking about here? What canon, what details, what complaints? Well, Wikipedia says that when ships go into hyperspace, they're going into an alternate dimension. So
That's
a complaint that I've heard is that Haldo's ship...
Pause again. I think this is kind of a bit of a straw man because, for one, I don't think anyone's specifically gone to Wikipedia to, break apart The Last Jedi. There are so many more surface level things to break apart than a bloody using a Wikipedia article.
And here's the thing. Won't Wikipedia change to try and make the story make sense in comparison to what was already there?
Wikipedia will always change with new information, which is kind of
the hyperspace dimension thing can't even be true because that's not what's said in episode 4 of Star Wars.
Wikipedia isn't law. It doesn't dictate the laws of Star Wars. The laws of Star Wars dictate what's said on Wikipedia.
Star Wars the films dictate what happens in Star Wars the films.
But anyway, you can go to the other films to find problems with this film, not specifically, some article. So I think this is him pulling a little bit of a straw.
Isn't it Han Solo that says we have to put these coordinates in correctly, otherwise we could plow into a supernova? So it can't be a different dimension thing. So I don't know what Wiki is on about anyway.
Space lane in another dimension where contact with this dimension was impossible. And this is exactly the type of shit that I'm talking about. Sorry, if that's what you're focusing on in this scene, again, losing the heartbeat of Star Wars. And let's face it, a lot of explanations for a lot of things in Star Wars came well after the fact when maybe someone decided there's a little need for an explanation, right? Some supplemental material came out explaining a thing that happened years ago in a movie.
I think we can agree that not everything, every piece of technology has to be explained, but every fantastical and technological element has to require sufficient explanation. So I don't need to know that a device is like a toothbrush, like an electric toothbrush. I don't need to know the ins and outs of a space-age toothbrush. It's not a big deal.
I don't need to know how the guns that the stormtroopers have. I don't need to know how they work.
Right.
I would like to know how someone can survive being exploded twice and then subjected to the vacuum of space. That would be useful to know.
Well, obviously, it's because he was a clone, and it was an imperfect clone. It was an imperfect clone, which is why his spirit just traveled through space and time, and entered the clone of Palpatine. And it was so powerful that his spirit that was overtaking the physical form of the clone. That's why he looked like he was a corpse. And that's actually the canonical explanation.
I heard differently that it wasn't a clone.
It became that. They changed it, I think.
It changed it. Of course, they've changed it.
It's in the novelization, guys.
So long as you can add it in afterwards, it no longer becomes an issue with the movies if all you ever watch is the movies.
Okay, you can't really understand how Palpatine is alive unless you've read Hume. Okay, you have to read Hume and John Stuart Mill.
Yep.
Okay, before you can even come close to comprehend the genius of J.J. Abrams.
You must consume more content than just the content itself in order for the content story to make sense.
Exactly. That's why so many people are so ignorant that they hate The Last Jedi, because obviously it was made for people who have consumed Hume and William Blake and all these other philosophers and awesome thinkers of history. And unless you've read The Apology, there's no way you can comprehend the intricacies of the relationship between Kylo Ren and Rey.
You cannot understand Episode 8 without first listening or reading up about Karl Marx.
Exactly. You know what? Just forget all that. Just read Karl Marx. You can understand all of TLJ.
Just read Karl Marx' second book, Postmodernists. What's the third book? Modern Art for the New Age or something?
Yes.
Let's do that. You'll be fine.
Mental material came out explaining a thing that happened years ago in a movie. Another complaint that I've heard is, why isn't it...
So he's attacking the books, the technical manuals, as opposed to not even addressing the movie itself or the movie series itself. Wow, great argument.
This is odd because there are many people out there who will use those stories as reasons to explain why the movie makes sense. And honestly, I would prefer that argument. I still don't like pay it too much mind because after all it's stuff that's been created afterwards to try and fill in the gaps because no one thought to write those gaps to close those gaps before they released the film. But now someone like HelloGreedo says, no, those don't matter. Let the gaps be as they are. They can stay there. It's fine.
Because the gaps,
moment.
Those holes in storytelling don't matter because you're going to write something else anyway. It's going to be totally different. So who cares?
Yes. Because that doesn't that make any art you consume become far more like fleeting? It's that singular moment the first time you watch it, and that's all that matters.
Nothing matters. Everything is like, go to the next art gallery, go to the next live music, go to the next restaurant. Just keep going to new places. It doesn't matter. There's no taste.
I don't want to know how Picasso painted his paintings.
That's a good question.
I'll look at it and then I'll move along.
Material will touch on it too, and then we'll have new details and new laws and new explanations. This shit is always changing.
It's always changing. Star Wars is always changing, guys. There's nothing. There's no bedrock. There's no gospel. Nothing. There's nothing. You can't refer to everything. There's nothing there.
Isn't the idea that they're always changing the laws to try and make the films make sense perhaps a bad thing because they didn't create the films with those laws in consideration to start with? So it's like playing catch up. You're constantly playing catch up to make your other work make sense.
I think in this regard, you don't need to play catch up because there's no need to make sense.
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yes.
But by the perspective of the writers at Disney, it's essentially playing catch up to try and make episode 8, episode 9, dare I say episode 10 make sense. They're constantly having to change what already existed instead of, like I said, adding to it gradually without contradicting anything. Instead, they sort of wipe it clean and then create something new. And they're having to do that twice, 3 times over.
I can't see them continuing the storyline of Rey at all. I can't see the actress or actors doing that. I can't see Disney doing that. It's they're hedging their bets with all this other new stuff, which they should have done when The Force Awakens came out. They should have started making books and new novels and novellas at that time. And I think they were working on stuff, but they were still testing the waters. And it's like they should have planned this all ahead. They should have done all this beforehand. And now they're just catching up this year with really strange stories that were like, oh, the High Order? What is it called?
It's like canon.
The very, very, very High Republic.
High Republic, yeah.
That's a good point. When Lucas Hood said in the chat, canon doesn't matter because everything always changes. No. Canon matters because we don't want it to always be changing. There should be a rule in place, and you can add to it, but you don't just say, "Now that doesn't matter. Now this is how it works."
I'm sure he's being facetious. So
No, I know he's quote tweeting or quoting. Sorry, canon doesn't matter because everything always changes. Now that's the problem.
Heard more complaints too. Welcome to the sandbox
Wow.
of Star Wars creation.
who is changing the times? Every time I go to press play, it's on a different time.
Is that a sound effect or something? I'm not really sure.
There we go.
And I'm sure future material will touch on it too. And then we'll have new details and new laws and new explanations.
Yes.
This shit is always changing. I've heard more complaints too, but for the sake of brevity, most are along the same lines, right? And I've heard counter arguments.
What a strange thing to say. Just go look up the videos of the thing I'm talking about with no reference. That's great.
Well, this is a common tactic. It's an assertion and then nothing to back it up. You could have easily at least referenced a little bit. Like take a little snippet and give us a little taste of what you're talking about.
At least give us a keyword, something. Just go look it up, guys. And he puts it on the screen.
Lazy to put evidence in my video.
Look them up. Plenty of videos, posts, etc. Of what? What do you want me to do? What a strange thing to say to your audience. Hey, guys, this thing I'm talking about right now, which I can't really name. Yeah, go check it out. All right.
Why is every wall in his house white?
He just moved in.
Stormtrooper aesthetic.
Oh, I
Minimalist.
see. Same room. Oh,
I guess HelloGreedo was just like, I want to do a rant, but I have some stuff to back up my points, but you have to do that for me.
You look it up.
It's like the movies themselves. Here's our movie, but you have to do the homework so you can find out what happened.
Go play Fortnite.
Yeah, it's a sales pitch, a link to Fortnite.
Right, here's the Force Awakens. Now go play Fortnite to find out how the Emperor came back.
It's like they wanted to do DLC for movies. All right, now we're at 5:20. Guys, quick, who's changing the? Stop it!
Is it StreamYard?
No, I don't. No, streamer has nothing to do with it. There we go.
New laws and new explanations. This shit is always changing. I've heard more complaints too, but for the sake of brevity, most are along the same lines, right? And I've heard counter arguments that talk about like a weaponizing a powerful wake. Like if you're in your kayak and
Wait, what? I didn't
Did
understand
it just
that.
jump?
Yeah, what the hell?
talk about like a ship's wake, right? Like a boat's wake, but a hyperspace wake. Weaponizing a powerful wake. Like if you're in your kayak and some asshole in a big boat blew by you, going too fast and too close. You might spill your beer or take a dip in the drink. But this is all just details. Again, I've never been a hyper detailed
Yeah, details. What a horrible thing.
I've never been a hyper detailed person, so therefore I'm gonna make an argument about it.
Are we really going to make videos about how canon is important now?
Listen, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not really into details, so I'm not really a fan.
I personally do not like details, so details are not important to anyone.
Like, what does he think about what he's saying before he says it, or does he just go, this sounds kind of good? Because who says shit like this?
He's going off the idea that everyone felt exactly as he did when he watched the film as well. What about the people who saw the whole Holder maneuver and thought, yeah, this sucks? And so they think it sucks on top of it being poorly written.
I just don't understand what like if you add up all his statements, you don't get any consistency, coherency. It doesn't build into anything.
It's like saying expository dialogue, descriptions. What do you need that stuff for?
Just happen. Just have explosions on screen and flashing lightsabers, and you'll be good. That's it. That's all you need for a Star Wars movie. You don't need an actual cohesive plot. That's oppressive. Okay, cohesive plots, canon. That's don't be a fascist, man. That's what fascists do. They preserve canon. Apparently,
I don't need feet. You know what I mean? What do I need feet to walk? What a toe? Toes. They're just details. Just have one giant foot thing, right? Why have toes?
Arbitrary that we have 2 legs.
Yeah. I'm not. I've never really been a toe-oriented person.
Therefore, no one should have toes.
Therefore, you shouldn't have. You don't need toes. If you cut off a foot, it won't bother you. Okay, it shouldn't bother you that you're missing a foot.
The general outline of a foot is enough to walk on. What do we need toes for?
Yeah, I've never been much of a toe person. I know some people who are, but
yeah.
I've heard
but I wear a giant toe on my head. That's the irony.
This is the strangest argument for The Last Jedi. I'm assuming he's talking about The Last Jedi I've ever heard of. So,
but toes are important, and people who think toes are important are fascists and oppressive to artists.
He's almost borderline admitting that yes, it's badly written, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, essentially that's what it is. Yeah, he's okay with that.
I'm okay with it being badly written because everyone who watched it felt exactly like I did.
Pretty much.
I assume, anyway.
Yeah. If he was talking to a writer, they would laugh at him. They'd be like, "Are you out of your damn mind?"
I seriously doubt if you went to Rian Johnson and you said, "Hey, our laws in writing aren't important, right?" I swear he would go, "No, they're very important."
He wouldn't be very good at writing them, but yeah, he would agree. I agree. Yeah.
It's the year 2020, and they always complain about why are you guys still talking about The Last Jedi? Well, why are you still talking about us talking about The Last Jedi? Why? And the entire reason is because one group of people, one side refuses to accept facts and logic, and the other side is we're just watching your guys' videos, wondering why you can't.
So why do you still talk about The Last Jedi? Why do you still talk about The Last Jedi?
Why do you still talk about like how good something is as a coping mechanism for how bad you actually feel inside about this thing?
Yeah, how come it's okay for you to keep talking about how good something is, but it's not okay for us to keep talking about how bad something is?
Oh, yeah, because we have to save Star Wars, because it's always the common argument. It's always about, what did IHE say? I Hate Everything was like, isn't it about the light saving the dark? And I'm like, yeah, that's what that's what it's about. That's not what the story is for us anymore. Just because the whole message of the series you still want it to persist, and you still want to say you're a Star Wars fan or you're a fan of this or that, doesn't mean that the canon hasn't been destroyed. And that's the thing, is they want to be the kings of the ashes, which is just sad.
Whatever happened to being like, yeah, I know it sucks, but I liked it anyway? Why does it have to be I liked it and any of the problems don't actually matter objectively?
I don't know. Why does Bernie Sanders say breadlines? That's a good thing.
The rich, they don't get the food. The people get the food. Great argument, Bernie.
That's what it sounds like all the time. It's like a coping mechanism.
I've pulled out. Thank you for your money.
Oh god.
I am now once again asking you to pre-order the Rise of Skywalker tickets.
I am now part of the 1% as a result of your tickets. It's not my fault. You guys bought the tickets. So what do you want me to do?
That's a good thing.
The rich don't get the money. I do.
Why does he sound like Yogi Bear?
Oh, he's the political yogi. He's always trying to steal your picnic baskets. So he's
That's a nicer picnic basket.
It's better than Biden, who just sounds like his brain is like
Oh my god.
that's unraveling.
Can you imagine those debates? I just can't wait to hear them. I'm a Canadian watching this shit. I'm like, I can't wait to see how Trump annihilates this guy with the most dumbest language, like 3-year-olds just arguing. Like, oh god.
So how do you feel about the Second Amendment? I got hairy legs, and the sun, they kind of glow golden, and
You know what? That's a better argument for why The Last Jedi is a good movie than anything Hello has said.
Can we have Donald Trump versus Joe Biden about the Rise of Skywalker?
I would watch that debate. I watch that one.
He wouldn't even be able to remember what the name of the movie is.
Yeah, it's very entertaining in Canada and the States when we talk about politics. We just look at our world leaders and we go, oh boy. What do we do today?
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, HelloGreedo.
Let's get back to HelloGreedo. Okay.
Oriented Star Wars viewer, because when that kind of stuff is focused on, instead of like the emotional impact of a narrative, it bogs things down for me. That's supplement
for him. When you talk about the space science fiction, any of the space opera elements, melodrama, characterization, fantasy, bogs it all down, guys. All those talking points,
all those things that refer to story and narrative and good writing. That's just bogs things down. Just stuff it more explosions.
He says, for me, that's fine. It's just we know he's not going to stick to that. It bogs it down for me, therefore no one should care about it.
Yeah.
Supplemental stuff. That is supplemental stuff. You don't need it.
Okay, so we don't need to know how science fiction works.
Didn't he start by saying that canon means Luke Skywalker is Anakin Skywalker's son? We don't need that.
It's all supplemental, though. When you get the big reveal of Darth Vader being his father, it doesn't really matter. It's secondary.
Just put that on the sidelines. That doesn't matter.
Why do I get to kind of get the feeling that he's just 2 steps away from talking about Hume?
Oh yes.
See, this I don't understand, because Hume is a very hard materialist, and if you know anything about Hume, scientists love Hume. Like, they don't even study philosophy. So why would a postmodernist philosopher or a postmodernist thinker even go near Hume? Like, I don't understand that. I could see maybe if you're talking about the empiricists, maybe Bishop Berkeley, because he was out to lunch. Like, he was really crazy, and that would make some more sense. But not Hume, not Locke, not Descartes. Like, none of those guys. So I can't wrap my brain around Hume.
You know what they need? That we need more Young in this business.
Really?
That would help a lot.
No way. You mentioned Young. You mentioned Jordan Peterson. They go crazy.
Oh, but they need it so bad because they need to understand why archetypes are important to human cognition. That's like a really important thing to human development is myth and symbolism.
Young is obviously part of the alt-right, and he's obviously a Nazi because Freud was German or Austrian or something.
Or something.
I was going to make a terrible philosophy joke. I'm part of the alt-Reich because I'm a Reichian.
Come on.
I'm all about shooting my Orgon beams into the sun so that all the energy can go straight to my pineal gland. I'm a real.
If he doesn't mention Hume, I'll be disappointed because I always want them. I'm always ready for them to start mentioning Hume.
When Just Right mentioned Hume, I was like, okay, great. He's got some. Oh God, no, sir, you're doing it wrong.
I doubt that HelloGreedo has ever read Hume. He probably thinks Hume is like an application for remote heating and.
HelloGreedo wrote a book in between. He's going to classes, and he wrote this book. It's the most self-referential book Like the chapter, if you go to his Amazon page, it is like chapter 1, what Star Wars is about, and like he talks about his life. Chapter 10, being a father. You know, it's like what the hell is this?
So he's the movie Bob of Star Wars.
I guess
Because that sounds a lot like Brick by Brick, where it's like movie Bob is supposed to be doing an analysis of Mario Brothers 3, but he's really writing about how he was happy to have video games when he was really lonely and shit.
Oh,
That's exactly what it sounds like. Like a lot of these YouTuber books that are semi-fictional.
yeah.
Like,
And there was a review with a 5-star rating. It's like, well, if you want logic and consistency and things to make sense, this is the wrong book for you. It's like, oh, that's nice to know, but you still give it 5 stars. But I guess that's what they want to give this guy money. They get a product. They see the man behind the mask, I guess, a little bit.
A paid review. Like, they didn't like it, but they gave him 5 stars.
Well,
that sounds like a HelloGreedo fan to me.
I think it's a $15 book too. I was like, holy shit, you're spending that kind of money for this guy's life story when he was in college or something? Like, wow. Great.
I put on the helmet in college, and ever since then, I've never taken it off.
No one cared who I was. Just on the helmet.
I saw the meme of people wearing masks and the the proper way to do it. It's like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And it's a picture of Bane coming at you. Big muscular man.
Man, we keep getting off track because this is just.
There's nothing here. There's really nothing here.
You've got fans on the flip side of Greedo who will go through an immense amount of effort to try and explain why the story makes sense. And he's and these are the same people that love the films just like he did. But he's like dismissing all of them as well at the same time. And hell, these people will also be the people who are changing the wiki, the Wikipedias, to make them make sense in conjunction to the films. But he's dismissing it all. It's like, yeah, that doesn't matter. It's like at least they're making effort.
Yeah, the Wikipedia is a. There's
It's
a lot of,
isn't it?
yeah. There's a lot of people there doing, making sure everything's referenced and whatnot. That's good. The problem is it's kind of useless now because a lot of it's gone. A lot of the EU is gone now, so we can't really fall back on that anymore. It's just sort of there, and you're like, oh, well, this could have been true. It could have worked in this novel, like the Luke clones and all the other adventures of Luke's adulthood, his middle age. All that stuff is gone. So
Would he be saying this if there were explanations for why stuff like the Holdo maneuver works? Would he be saying this? That is the question. Like, if you could find concrete evidence,
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah,
why it's never happened before. If that existed, I doubt he would be making this video.
exactly. Yeah, because then he'd be, oh, lore is very important, but you just didn't see it because it's in the secondary source. You never referenced because you're a dumb. You're a big dumb, big dumb.
This is why secondary
Dumb fanboy.
are important.
Yeah. So it's only important when it aligns with his likes and dislikes. Yeah.
You don't. It's just there for some fun information, right? The heartbeat of Star Wars is
Lore is just fun information. That's great.
It's fun
It's not
information.
essential or important or anything. It's just fun. It's just icing on the cake.
Midi chlorians, what are those? It's fun. They're fun little things in your blood, everything. Yeah.
Can it just be canon that Qui-Gon was just high all the time and he was inventing stuff?
What are midi chlorians, Qui-Gon? It's cocaine.
Yeah, it's heroin.
It's heroin.
What is actually exactly important in because he's missing everything, lore, canon. What is important in HelloGreedo's mind at this point?
How you feel.
No. How you feel, how I feel, and you better like what I like.
I feel exactly how I did.
Probably,
How I feel. I
probably
personally feel exactly that's the only thing that's important in Star Wars, and you should too. That's the only thing you should feel. My feelings are the thing that's important in Star Wars.
It's monetization on his channel is probably important. That $15 you can get off that book, that's probably important.
He has a book.
Yeah, we were just saying that.
Yeah, it's about his life in college, and in between his classes, he was writing it down, and then there's a chapter dedicated to him being a dad, why there's clickbait, why Star Wars is big, like all these dumb. It's like this is stupid. He just sat down and started writing shit. You're like, why did you do this? Like if I publish my book about creative writing, I start talking about my life. I'm like, wait, no one cares. No one cares about my life. They want to know how to write a book. They want to solve a problem. They want to know how to write well. Mind you, I have a lot of food analogies because I was eating while I was writing, but you know.
It's kind of because some people just start off they're going to make a video about a topic, and they start off the video about telling you exactly what the video is going to be about, and then the video starts. It's the video from the beginning.
Or better yet, they click on the video because they want to watch exactly what the title says, and then the first 2 minutes are talking about Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, or Dollar Raid Club.
I hate. It's always funny to listen to people's YouTube advertisements. Like the transition is really abrupt, so they get you. And it's like, so yeah, I always say HelloGreedo to my friends through NordVPN so that I can. Yeah, I'm just like, wait a minute.
NordVPN is the most ambitious RPG game of the year with exceptional graphics, wonderful storyline. Wait, hold on.
All this canon is just supplementary, but do you know what's not supplementary? Squarespace.
Skillshare.
I would love to see him Dollar Shave Club with his mask on. Look how wonderful this shaving is working against my mask. Can't even tell.
Like black lines in biro on his mask.
If he was creative, he could actually do that. He would start with the Sand Trooper mask and be like, look at how clean up, and then he would like do the little shaving thing, and then the helmet would change.
Canon and lore might be unimportant, but what isn't unimportant is all the things you can learn on Skillshare. Go to my Skillshare.
See, I sort of give Ben Shapiro that pass because he talks so fast. You're like, wait, Ben, what are you talking about? Gold bullion? What? Who's buying gold bullion? You're talking about politics. What's going on here?
My favorite, honestly, my favorite advertisement scheme that I've seen on YouTube is Steven Crowder's Mug Club. Because he's just like, yeah, free month of Mug Club.
He has skits. He has skits, though. That makes it fun.
Yeah. I don't want to, like, dwell too much on an advertisement and a thing. But just as for HelloGreedo's thing, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how watching these videos affects my brain. Like sometimes you ever watch one of these videos and your brain hurts afterwards? Yeah, like I feel like what I'm getting out of the HelloGreedo experience is my brain is going blank. So maybe that's what happens to him when he's watching these movies, is like he just kind of
this happens out with everyone on the stream halfway to about 80% done. Like Shiny's probably already checked out now, but like you just can't take it. You're just like, okay, there's nothing here. There's really nothing to argue or think about. It's just I like thing. It's good because, I like thing X, and now I like thing Y. And if you don't like thing X or Y, you're not my friend.
You're big dumb fanboy.
Big dumb fanboy.
It shouldn't matter. Lore and canon shouldn't matter. Unlike the things you can learn on Skillshare. That's it.
Oh my God. This is real life.
Man wearing a stormtrooper helmet.
But you know what isn't real life? Raid Shadow Legends.
If they all could talk like at immersively reasonable speed, like Ben Shapiro, then we'd be able to get through it at a reasonable speed.
Ben Shapiro is amazing. Like he does like 7 or 8 a stream. He just keeps going. You get all these references to affiliates he's already signed up with. It's just like, dude, do you have any control?
He just takes a big puff of helium and then he comes out and he goes, all right, everyone.
He's amazing. Anyway, let's get back.
Not in the tiny inconsequential details and laws and rules that do not impact a narrative that you might find skimming through a Millennium Falcon schematic book. Those details are fun, don't get me wrong, they're fun, but they're supplemental. And
there's a difference between a schematic book and actual lore and canon that's essential to the storyline and narrative of Star Wars.
What is an inconsequential detail to him?
I think it'd be like a compressor. Like we still don't know what the hell a compressor is on the Millennium Falcon. They keep talking about it in all the movies, and we're like, what is it? That little circuit board that Rey ripped out? Did that stop the compressor from working? Like, what is going on here?
I bypassed the compressor.
I'm glad you guys
Great.
brought that up because that's what I was thinking, and I was just thinking that it's so funny that he doesn't understand that a film is a series of Chekhov's guns, and so everything that you introduce it becomes a mechanical device that could be used later in the plot, or it could be left behind or what have you. And he can't see that lore and canon are basically thematic versions of those Chekhov's guns. It's like, this is a Chekhov's gun that's specific for this story. It's a lightsaber. The lightsaber has these effects. Therefore, we can do this with it. He just doesn't understand that construction of a film or a piece of writing has like substance to it, like that there's different materials that you make. Like when you're building a house, that's my metaphor for this. Like he's like, what do you need insulation for? A house is just like wood built on the ground, right? And you're like, no, it has foundation and it needs like concrete and rebar here to reinforce it. He's like, no, that's all just like interesting stuff, but it's not essential.
Yeah, it's just icing on the cake. All the the foundation is just icing on the cake.
Why do you need roof tiles for? You can just like, you got the roof already.
You don't need doors. It's just that's a luxury. It's
Yeah.
nice to have, but you don't really need doors or locks. You just basically need walls and a roof. Who cares if it falls down? We built a castle on a swamp, fell down, and built another castle.
All
Same
that
swamp,
matters is how does
fell
the
down.
house make you feel?
Well, having these things, having these details would restrict your creativity. So maybe the wall should just end 3 feet before it reaches the end of the house or whatever. You know?
Yeah, you don't want it to inhibit someone's creativity.
It's essentially like you want to play around with a sci-fi space adventure. It's like, great, cool. Why don't you come up with some laws of your own? It's like, no, but I want the Star Wars. I want Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Wars? No, I just want it.
Like,
At what
I
point?
built myself a castle. It's going to fall down in the swamp in a little bit, but how does the castle make you feel? It doesn't matter if it's built terribly on no foundation at all. How does the castle make you feel as it exists right now?
Here's another one. We're at Disneyland and we're walking around the little themed areas, and then all of a sudden, one of the characters is like out of the scene, and you're like, what's Mickey doing or whatever in Tomorrowland or whatever? Or like there's a bunch of like Frontierland people walking around. You're like, the themes don't match. What's going on here? I'm not getting that experience that I was looking for. That's kind of like what he is not seeing, is that like there's the limitations that you make in the story are what's going to define the aesthetics of the world that you're building. So you need those limitations. If you just have unlimited everything, then you won't be able to define your aesthetics or the rules that work, or how can you tell a story? So it's very telling when I hear that he wrote a book and it's just like random shit that he put into it, because that's exactly what his theory here would create.
Yeah.
Damn it, they have changed so often over the years. If something like the Holdo maneuver in all of its visual awesomeness and god speed rebels breaks the quote-unquote laws of the universe, then hey, let's break some more laws. You know,
No. Don't do this. Don't listen. This is the recipe for damaging quality.
Oh, okay,
writing.
so that's your first clip. Let's clip out HelloGreedo saying, "Hey, let's break some more laws."
Yeah.
And just use it every once in a while.
This is exactly what the downfall
More
of high quality storytelling is.
Yes, it is.
Break more laws because it's all about how you feel in the moment. Isn't that like? Didn't they do that with the Leia's reveal in The Force Awakens? She was supposed to show up earlier, and they cut her out to make to have the emotional reveal. They did the same with Lando as well. Like the whole in Episode 9, where Lando is the contact they go to speak to on the desert planet number 4, whatever it is. But they cut the earlier scenes with Lando where Leia is talking to him, like preparing for before the heroes head off. So they just cut that out entirely so they could have the dramatic reveal with Lando in the moment, so you felt good. But up until that point, you're like, okay, how did they know to meet this person? Who did they know who did they know to look for? How did they know to meet them at this location? They didn't. So the writing falls apart at that point. But it's how it felt in the moment when Lando was revealed. That's the important bit. None of the connective tissue.
I don't like the wishy-washy outlook he has. He has like laws are kind of important when they're nice and secondary, but ultimately they're not relevant to the story.
Let's break some more laws. Wait, that's illegal.
Yeah.
After a Star Wars movie comes out, I tend to do what a lot of you guys do. I go down a rabbit hole of reviews on YouTube and reading some critic and audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes. And oftentimes, the reviewers who harp on canon or an abundance of details rarely, if ever, talk about the emotional impact of a scene or a story. It's like an algorithmically
person, Greedo. You know this. You said for me personally, like 2 minutes ago. You know that is subjective.
Yeah, but it doesn't even matter. It's like they rarely talk about the emotions. It's because I already have my emotions. You don't need to supply me with more emotions. I watched the movie. I have my feelings. You watch the movie. You have your feelings. What's the conversation about?
Did you like that? And you went, yeah, I liked that. And I go, well, I didn't like that.
But here's
conversation over.
But here's the thing. They get offended when you have the wrong emotions. So if I come out here and I say, I thought it was a piece of crap, then they're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And it's nothing, there's no logic to what they're saying. They're just upset that you didn't have this cathartic experience that you're expected to have because it's Star Wars. Like, it does. Why is the detail of it being Star Wars important, but the detail of the lore of Star Wars not important? Like, it's just, this is the most remedial, bird-brained type of thinking. And what amazes me is that HelloGreedo has an audience. That's the thing that scares me. Not how dumb this guy's being.
How does that make you feel, Glib?
That's how I feel. I feel like a wolf. That's how I feel. I want to start screaming.
Okay, let's not do that just yet.
No, of course not.
But what if your emotional reaction as a reviewer is to feel melancholy because you have these thoughts of that's not how it used to go in the back of your head?
Well, you're watching movies wrong.
It's almost like he's ignoring the idea that you can be affected emotionally because it is contradictive. You look at it and you go, wait a minute, that doesn't make much sense. Why have they done that? Now I'm just confused. That's an emotional reaction, but there is evidence behind it aside from I looked at the colors and it felt great to look at.
I'm just surprised that there are people that are walking around that don't try to figure out if what they're saying is applicable to like if other people can hear what they're saying and work out in their mind if it makes any sense. Like they are expecting you to just believe what they're saying based on what clout or the fact that they're wearing a stormtrooper helmet or whatever. It's just frustrating to me. And it's frustrating to me that it works. That people are taken in by this. Like, oh yeah, it's really profound that you should just disregard everything that made the original trilogy good. But also I'm going to take shots at the prequels and then I'm going to support the sequel. There's no consistency in that. What's the rubric for that?
Does he still rib on the prequels, by the way? Or has he gone back on that because that would make his videos on the sequels look idiotic and contradictory?
Yeah, I can't say. Haven't watched them.
No.
Generated analysis. A detective board spread out in front of you with red yarn connecting various details to make sure things are in line. And that kind of bums me out. And
yeah, great imagery there, buddy. Your idea of a reviewer who's good on logic and reference and lore has this mastermind crazy conspiracy theory on his wall of how everything connects.
Well, it's funny that he says that because when you're making a movie, usually one of the steps for most filmmakers is to write every scene onto an index card and then put the index cards in order on a whiteboard or on a wall somewhere and then rearrange the scenes if it's necessary so you can visualize the whole thing. It's literally doing that, Pepe Silva connecting the thread thing together because you're building a story, you're building a world. And so it's funny to hear again HelloGreedo basically admitting that he's lazy, and if he was writing a story he wouldn't even know where to begin. He's like, oh, it bums me out that I have to do real work to figure out the logic of something. That's why you're a fanboy.
It's a detective mystery, right? With this crazy conspiracy theorist trying to figure out the various ways of the lore, as if lore would be this horribly guided thing that you need to like.
As if lore is a mystery and not an explanation for the mystery.
Well, he seems to be dancing around the idea. I can't tell where his opinion lies on this anymore, but he's dancing around the idea or around the subject of, is episode 8 and 9 well written or not? I don't know which way he swings anymore. Is he saying they're badly written and it doesn't matter, or they're really good emotionally and they're well written on top of that, but that doesn't matter?
That's a good point, because lore is writing. So
lore is writing. Exactly.
Yeah.
It is lore that Rose Tico had a sister who died.
But it doesn't matter to him.
It doesn't matter. She has no connection to that person whatsoever. It doesn't matter.
Let's not ask him that question. I don't think he's going to answer in the positive or nicely. I think he's a big ball of emotion. He's trying to rationalize his feelings after the fact. It's like, oh, I'm angry. Why is that? Oh, it's those damn fanboys and their arguments about logic and lore. And yeah, it's got to be this big crazy bulletin board with red lines from a murder mystery. It's so confusing. Well, now that we have these series, yeah, it is messed up.
That's honestly why, if I'm going to watch a Star Wars movie review on YouTube, I prefer to watch them from, regular movie reviewers, not just Star Wars movie reviewers.
The irony.
Wow.
How do you just not know? How do you not look in the mirror and see a stormtrooper helmet on your head?
Siskel and Ebert, they were not Star Wars fanboys, so he doesn't respect their opinion about movies.
So everybody stop listening to HelloGreedo about Star Wars because he's a Star Wars fan. Everybody go to a regular movie reviewer that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Thank you, HelloGreedo. Thank you.
Nice.
But that's logical. You see, you have to think about that comment logically.
It is not canon that HelloGreedo is a Star Wars fan, okay? And even if it was, it doesn't matter.
Like even with AT Chan, he was like, "Oh, I'm self-aware. Like, I'm complaining on the internet."
I'm guilty of this too, he says.
Yeah. HelloGreedo can't see past his helmet.
That's why stormtroopers couldn't hit anything.
It is bad visibility in there. That is canon. Oh wait, that doesn't matter.
It explains so much, doesn't it? It's secondary, just for fun.
I think that is actually part of the lore that actual first-gen stormtrooper helmets were terrible for visibility, and that is an explanation why for why their aim is so bad. I think that does exist. That is canon, but according to him, that doesn't matter. So.
There's Star Wars YouTubers or people who talk about Star Wars constantly on YouTube because, it can be topical at times. I prefer to watch Star Wars movie reviews from like Chris Stuckman or Jeremy Johns. Agree or disagree, I find their opinions to be a much more pure look at those movies as.
Oh my
so
God!
What are your opinions then? How much of non-Star Wars content does HelloGreedo produce? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't watched him to say, but I'm assuming the helmet goes with the content. So
I'm going to take a look. But if his if his YouTube channel is like 60% or more Star Wars content, I'm going to judge his opinions as impure.
Well, that's the funniest thing. Anytime you hear anyone say the word true, absolute, pure, nature, all these big words, it's like, okay, they haven't thought their sentence through. They're over exaggerating. They're trying to be honest and philosophical and whatever. You think of a pure review. What the hell is a pure review?
So 7 hours ago was Star Wars. 20 hours ago was a live stream about Star Wars. Yesterday was Star Wars: The Clone Wars. 2 days ago was this video. 3 days ago was a live stream. Let's talk about anything. I'm pretty sure Star Wars would have cropped up.
And his kids, can't forget he's a dad. So
he's got kids. Oh, there's Star Wars merchandise. Another episode of the Clone Wars, and another one about the Clone Wars, and then Lego Star Wars. Oh wow. There's a lot of impure opinions coming from this guy because he just reviews Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up on the screen right now. You're right. It's all Lego Star Wars app idea, special edition discussion.
What would this guy's channel be if he didn't have Star Wars? If he didn't have lore?
I tell you, his channel would have nothing.
It'd be like 10 movies to watch during coronavirus.
How many
Is-
videos has he got that are based off Star Wars lore?
The Downfall of the Chosen One.
It's all Star Wars.
We are Broom Boy.
He's just a Star Wars fanboy who loves this stuff, and
All the
there's
stuff he talks
no.
about, and therefore supplementary.
I guarantee there's a story about like how Star Wars was super cool when he was like 5 or something, and it's been like the thing that keeps him going or something. It's just some big grand thing. Somebody was getting hit by dad in the background or something, and Star Wars was what he used to distract himself. There's got to be something, because he's not logical. It's entirely emotional. So I don't know what is going on with him, but 100% of his videos that I've seen so far have been empty, airheaded. So maybe inside that helmet there's just air. There's no person. I don't know what's exactly inside the helmet, but it's not coming up with good ideas.
Let's just keep going. We're almost done. There's nothing. There's really nothing much. This was a gimme for everyone. This was just the stupidest thing I could find.
Sit back, relax. It's pretty much on easy mode.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious how ludicrous his whole argument is.
It's a
You
quick
call it an
time.
argument.
It's like, all right, as soon as he stops talking, you can just basically say anything about subjectivity.
Yeah.
Like, oh, of course they think that.
It's like read To Kill a Mockingbird, HelloGreedo. Well, I really liked the trial scene. It was very realistic. I liked the feeling it gave me. Like, oh.
Yeah. It reminded me of Star Wars. Like, no, stop talking about Star Wars.
Things that some fans might think the films or the movies or the stories or the visuals or whatever need to adhere to. Again, I think it's more pure. And what laws are we...
Pure. It must be pure. You can't have people talk impure thoughts about Star Wars. How dare they, heathens? You must excommunicate them from this stream.
You have failed to adhere to party doctrine. You must be expelled.
Yes, but you can't adhere to laws or rules. It has to be pure. My purity must be maintained.
And lore and canon are nothing. Lore and canon should not exist. They're unimportant. Just basically just wrapping paper.
It's also funny to hear this because I keep thinking of Data and Lore from Star Trek Next Generation. So it's like every time somebody says Lore, I just think of this android. I'm just like, Lore is not important, but in the story, Lore, the character, is essential to it. And I don't know. It's just like a little play going on in my head, like
ever since Picard. Yeah, it's like, oh, what the hell happened to Lore? Why didn't Data tell anyone about his long lost human brother?
Right?
Like,
I can't watch it.
Yeah, no, horrible show.
But you know, just as a final thing about the lore thing, I know the history of the thing that I'm watching, and I go to read extra details because I'm curious about it. That shows how much of a fan of something I am. And so when other people are going to make content with that, I hope that they would take into consideration everything that's on the table, because that's what lore and canon really are. It's a bunch of people gathering after they've all read the same thing or all played the same video game or watched the same movie and trying to discuss what is there. And then if you want to push that forward, you bring that with you. So every time that somebody doesn't do that, you get this feeling of disappointment because you as an audience member know that there's something missing from the universe that was taken away because it hasn't been replenished. So I hate this. I don't know, what is it? Like a Luddite. Someone that's trying to reject the enlightenment of bringing in canon and lore into consideration about how to further a story, especially chapter 8 of a story.
I would like him just to write a short story about anything. Just pick a topic and go crazy, any genre. Just write a few pages and see how that works for you.
How like, if you were a writer, especially for Star Wars, let's say you're J.J. Abrams, how disappointed would you be to know that all of the efforts that you did take, because I will not, I know we hyperbolic, but I would not say that no effort was made whatsoever. Like, so how would you feel like if someone said that all of the stuff you made to try and make connective tissue for episode 9, so it made sense, that didn't matter?
It really depends.
How much of his work have you just sort of And I know it's not fantastic work to begin with, but how much work have you just sort of brushed aside as like, yeah, that doesn't matter?
Yeah, we're talking about ideas that the story can go in a certain direction or it can use certain elements, and you still have to address them, which Ryan Johnson did do. He just didn't do a very good job. Yeah. And all the stories we hear back from Abrams is always been positive. Everything about the communication at Disney has been always positive. So there's really we have no understanding of what went wrong or what they didn't like. Because I'm sure they must have some disagreements. It couldn't be everything was great. That's ridiculous. So we have no insight into any of that. But if I was doing a pitch for another producer, if I had a tech doc or tech design for a project I was pitching for a client, and they bought it, and I mentioned all these things, and they only used 10%, and I was like, oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be. So at that point, either I build it for them and I do this crappy job because I'm only using 10% of my ideas, or they give it to someone else. So at that point, I'm like, hey, I don't really care because I'm J.J. Abrams. I already did a great movie. I made a lot of money. I'm done. Ryan Johnson does his thing. I don't really give a shit. Not my bag. Not my problem. And then get the call tomorrow. I was like, oh, you're on the next project. Oh, what? Now I got to start caring. Now I got to start planning it out. And you got to really pick up that ball and realize it's a ball of crap. So you better say good thing because you want this thing to sell. It's like, oh, Ryan Johnson is amazing. He's a great writer. He did things I wasn't expecting. He made me be more bold. Like he actually said he was more bold in episode 9 as a result of episode 8. So he's a smart businessman, but creatively we know what's going on.
Yeah. Just it's fine if it's not good. I don't understand. What are you afraid of? Like I had that moment of, oh no, Star Wars is going to be like gone forever, or it's over now or whatever, and it passes and then you get over it. But they can't let it go. I find it amazing, especially because the Rise of Skywalker was going to be so bad the whole time. Watching that was cathartic because now all the Last Jedi fans are going through the exact same thing that all of the other fans went through with the Last Jedi. So
that's what I want to do. I want to spend close attention to Just Wright's review of TLJ and review of the Rise of Skywalker, because there are some similarities in the movies, and I don't have the time or patience to listen to them both, because I'm quite sure he'll say some good things about the Last Jedi, which are exactly the same points of contention in the Rise of Skywalker. So I just haven't got around to it. But I will definitely capture that clip from HelloGreedo, that 5-second clip that summarizes his whole argument.
Goodbye, Greedo.
We have like 30 seconds. You want to keep going, guys? Or
Yeah, let's finish this.
all right.
Rage Shadow Legends.
Every Star Wars movie that's ever come out has done new stuff that people bitched about, that kind of trampled on the previous movies, right? That's always been the thing.
Show me.
Restricting creative freedom for
Give
new
me
fun
examples.
and inventive ideas because of some wishy-washy, loosey-goosey Star Wars laws sounds like the most soul-killing knife in the heart of a franchise thing I can imagine.
Who thinks laws are important, right? Running a red light is just like a suggestion, right?
I didn't realize people who cared were killing the film series. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like imagine Rowling writing her Harry Potter story in her chapter 2. Magic is now a technology. It's all like with mechanic clockworks, and you need like special kinds of energy sources. It's not just like words and incantations. No. It's all like you have to build it. You have to make your own wand, and you have to create your own creatures out of clockwork. Like, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Just do that, Rowling. Everyone would love that.
Chapter 3
What did I miss?
doesn't exist anymore.
Chapter 3. Harry gets a gun.
I didn't
You're a
realize
murderer, Harry.
obsessing over or caring about the small details to a film means you are killing it from the inside.
Soul
Apparently.
killing. It's soul. It's a stab. It's a cut directly to the heart of the soul, of the heartbeat of this franchise. This fantastical, big, dumb fanboy franchise.
I care that Luke is the son of Vader, and because of that, I am killing I'm killing the soul of Star Wars.
Yeah,
How
it's just
dare.
a detail.
Because then a writer can't come by tomorrow and go, hey, you know what? Luke is really the adopted son of Kylo Ren back in time. You're like, wait, what?
All those details are just details. So like anything can change, and it doesn't matter as long as the heartbeat is maintained. I get you, HelloGreedo. You're making a lot of sense. It's everything doesn't matter except for whatever you think actually matters when your pea brain is going through this process of trying to figure out what you like.
Again, why think when you can feel?
Yeah.
Why
Oh,
respect
here's a super
what
chat.
you
Joe Crazy. Thank you, sir. This guy is defending the sequels from the same criticism he's made towards the prequels. You know what? Shiny said that. I have no idea. I'm assuming it's...
Let's watch a prequel video after this for comparison.
Oh,
I don't know if we want to go through another hour of his stuff.
No.
Everyone listening, go watch a prequel video of his for comparison to this one. You know where it is. It's on the channel with all the Star Wars stuff. Just don't listen to his opinions too hard. They're impure.
Yeah. If Just Right can make problems or bad arguments with The Rise of Skywalker between that and The Last Jedi, HelloGreedo has already made dozens.
mm-hmm. But yeah, sorry I had to go for a while. But what did I miss?
Oh, really vapid, pointless hatred over
How
lore.
much did we get through?
We're almost done. We got like
Oh.
20 seconds. Let's go.
Freedom! While those R2-D2 jetpack legs would have been really convenient in the original trilogy.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah, I agree. See, here's his book. Look at his chapters. The origin story. Why Star Wars? Clickbait and social media. YouTube. My top 10 movies. The United States Navy. Video games.
Oh, he was a veteran.
Great. Yeah, fantastic. Being a dad. Supporter Q&A. In close. Like what? Like what are you?
What format is that?
What
The
book is that? A
title is
bibliography?
all you need to know. It's sorry about
It's
the mess.
titled "Sorry About the Mess." Yeah. Well, what is this? What is this book?
An autobiography? I don't know.
And and did he answer the question? Can excessive detail in canon impede creativity and fun new ideas?
No, it's bad for caring.
Oh.
Essentially, so. If you care about that, you are missing the heart of Star Wars.
Yeah, that's his argument. His response: you're messing around with the heartbeat of Star. You don't know what the heart of Star. Dude, you don't know what the heart of Star Wars is. No one does.
You don't know what the Star of Hard Wars is.
Big dumb.
Apparently, I dodged a holdo maneuver.
You did.
Oh yeah,
We
but
got some good sound bites though. That was good.
no, but it just the title alone gets me because
And
it's
that no one
it-
talks about the emotional weight of scenes, because and if they're not the emotions that I felt, then they're wrong.
if you have creativity and fun new ideas, why are you writing into a pre-existing series?
I was going to say, yeah, like I said, is if you have these great ideas for a sci-fi film, create your own. Don't do it just because you want the money generated from Star Wars.
Yes, Neil Gaiman does that all the time. He says he always wants to do sequels, and people say, "Well, Neil Gaiman does not do sequels," and he says, "No, that's not true. I have plenty of ideas for sequels, but I also have plenty of ideas for new stuff. I always want to do the new stuff."
Yeah, it's always more interesting because it's the creativity aspect, but at the same time, there's something very nice about being able to consistently present sequels to something.
Did people always say Ahsoka Tano was a Mary Sue, by the way?
No, I don't believe so.
I
Partly
never-
because there's nothing in the beginning. There's nothing really to.
It's
The
it's
best
al-
criticism I can think of is that she used to be annoying.
Yes, that
and-
is true. But it's almost as if she's not a Mary Sue because she trained from a young age, like every Jedi before her, except Rey.
She was kind of a Mary Sue in that 2008 movie where she was introduced. It was pretty bad. It was
I
pretty
will.
bad.
Well, I wouldn't say Mary Sue. I just call her extremely irritating.
Yes, that would be the best way to put it. So there's a huge difference between a Mary Sue and someone who's irritating.
I gets her ass kicked by everything that's not like regular droids up until the very end.
Yeah, she gets all, like
She is
Magna
the-
Guards at the end.
Yes,
She ends up
that's-
struggling to fight them.
Nobody's gonna like to hear this, but she's the Wesley Crusher of the Star Wars universe.
Not now. No. Okay,
Yes.
so Wesley
Yes.
Crusher is a really annoying character in Star Trek Next Generation. However, she's not like when you get to the later seasons, that's not Ahsoka whatsoever. That's just her in the movie.
Oh, I have to get through like multiple seasons before it gets good. Well, yeah, you have
Yes.
to do the same with Avatar.
You have to do the same with Star Trek, in fact.
I mean, we could go into that whole thing about like season 2 of things are usually better than season 1, but
Mhm.
um,
Well, I would say
don't know.
all Star Trek shows have started off on a pretty rough footing. Like I'd say Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Enterprise.
This just
It's
popped
almost
up.
as if the more and more you do a series, the better and more efficient you get at creating for it. Shocking. The more time you spend on a thing, the better.
right
you
now,
become.
he's seeing this.
Yeah, I just got this on my phone. So AT&T chat just posted a video 2 days ago. I think it's the one we did. And some guy says, hey, YouTube just recommended you just brought up Spudboy making an over 3-hour video talking about this. Yeah, he's made it a habit to go down the Star Wars YouTube rabbit hole because I find you guys so wildly entertaining. Right now, he's just upset. I'm obsessed with HelloGreedo. I think my obsession lasted about 20 seconds before I decided to stop thinking about him.
Have we? This is the only HelloGreedo video I've been on to cover. I don't.
Yeah.
We've covered AT-AT chat more than we have HelloGreedo.
Oh well, my next year's width of content will probably be a solid bounty for those guys. An objective analysis of my subjective perception.
All of your
Yeah,
the
because that's what
argument.
that's what they think it's all about. They think it's all about their perceptions, and they don't understand how unimportant they are. It's like we're all just people that have subjective
thing is-
perceptions. Everybody
is-
can do that.
They are
That's not
putting
special.
forward arguments. They are putting forward reasons for why they view this film or these films as some kind of high quality media. And we're looking at what they're saying and we're replying to what they're saying and actually saying, well, no. And that's literally all we're doing. We're just rebutting everything they say because what they end up saying is completely fucking nuts. I mean, you have someone here saying that we shouldn't have logic or consistency within films. A film that came before it. This is the level we're at.
It's pretty mind-numbing. I wish I had more to say because, we tend to apply some rigor to our intelligence here. We think things through, but it's really just mind-numbing, and you can't really say, oh, I wish this person had a better outlook. I wish he did some more research, but all it was his opinion with no facts. He did one reference to Wikipedia about hyperspace, which was, I believe, incorrect aside from the movie pointing that out. And that's it. Everything else was just, I like it. It makes me feel good, which is fine. You could like stuff and feel great, but when you open up your brain and say, I like it because, and your reason is this, and if the reason is, well, lore is bad because it somehow stops writers from writing, I don't know. It sounds as if he doesn't know what he's talking about, which I'll let you decide that on yourself. So I think that we're done for the day. That was not too bad. We did okay, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, we did all right. Thanks for coming in. I know this is a really strange streaming. I have to figure out the sound. I'm streaming in Firefox, and we're using a feed from LiteratureDevil to get the sound working. So I got to figure that out myself. But thanks to everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. Glib, thanks for popping in.
Yeah,
The good
sure.
news is we beat EFAP to the finish.
Yes, we beat EFAP. Woohoo!
They are. You should go subscribe to them. They really need the support.
Yeah,
Copy what to do.
they're not as efficient as us, but that's okay. They're learning. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
We fap at twice the speed.
speed fap.
Every frame, an argument that
Every
lasts
couple
2 minutes.
frames, give or take a few.
Yeah, super fast frames. FFAP, CEFAP. There we go. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Goodbye.